We've all been there. It's 5 o'clock, you're tired, and the last thing you want to do is cook. Normally, that's when people turn to fast food. But what if fast food could actually be healthy, homemade, and already waiting for you? Today, I'm going to show you my favorite shelf-stable canned meals that make dinner as easy as opening a jar. Hey friends, welcome back to Six Hearts on Six Acres. I'm so glad that you're here with me today because we're going to dive into one of my absolute favorite parts of homesteading, stocking the pantry with meals that are literally ready to go. And let me tell you, when life gets busy with school pickups, sports schedules, gardening, and everything else on the homestead and you are just plain tired, having these meals on the shelf is an absolute game changer. Now, I want you to hang out with me for this whole video because I have 6 really hearty meals that we're going to can up. Bourbon chicken, Zuppa Toscana, beef stroganoff, beef stew, ham and beans, and ham and bean soup. We are going to be covering all of the comfort food bases. And just a quick favor before we jump in, if you love these kinds of videos and want to support my channel, you can check out my Buy Me a Coffee link down below. It's just a little way to help keep this homestead running and keep these videos coming. It's definitely not required, but is very much appreciated. We all know that life on a homestead is busy. We are always moving around here, running somewhere. We have gardens to weed, animals to feed, kids to run around, laundry to fold, and somehow we're supposed to put dinner on the table every single night too. And if you're anything like me, you want that dinner to be homemade and nourishing, not just something quick thrown together in garbage. So tell me guys in the comments, what is your busiest day of the week? For us, it's toss-up between Mondays and Fridays. Mondays because we are recovering from the weekend chaos, and Fridays because everybody is exhausted from the last week and we are just ready to put our feet up. On those days, opening the pantry and grabbing a jar of homemade beef stew feels like a complete blessing. All I have to do is heat it up, maybe toss a salad together or slice a loaf of sourdough, and dinner is served. That is Homesteaders fast food. The first recipe that we're going to start with is bourbon chicken. Now, don't let that name fool you. It actually doesn't have any bourbon in it at all, although you can add it if that's something that you want. I used some of our pressed apple juice that we canned up, not even last year, but the year before, as a replacement for that bourbon. And I have already tasted some of this sauce on a meal that I made, and it was absolutely amazing. Everybody loved it. They asked for seconds and they took it for lunch that next day. It's sweet, savory. The sauce is the sticky kind that clings to the chicken and makes you want to lick the spoon. I love canning this meal because when you open that jar, you've got tender chicken already swimming in sauce. All you have to do is pour it over some rice, which cooks in like 20 minutes flat in your Instant Pot, and you have dinner faster than you could drive to town. I found this recipe on Pinterest and it was such an easy one to throw together. All you do is make sure that you have clean jars and then you fill them up with chicken. I did a mixture of both chicken thighs and chicken breast. I love chicken thighs because I feel like they're more flavorful, but they do have more fat on them. And so that's why I did the mixture of the two. And then you just mix up this sauce, all of the ingredients together, heat it up until it is simmering and fill your jars. The sauce is a mixture of garlic, either bourbon or apple juice, your choice, brown sugar, ketchup, apple cider, chicken broth, and soy sauce. It came together so quickly, so easily, and it tastes fantastic. Anytime that you have full jars, you need to do a debubble, and I chose a wooden skewer to do that with. For some reason this time, it was not the best tool. It kept stabbing through my chicken, and it was a little bit of a pain to use. I really need to get a debubbler because I always just grab something that I have lying around, something on hand, typically a butter knife. That would have worked a lot better than this wooden skewer. I'm not really sure why I grabbed that, but I did. So Don't be like me. Don't use a wooden skewer. Use an actual debubbler. Like always, you're going to wipe your rims really well. I did use vinegar this time to wipe them just because I had the meat and it has some grease on there with the fatty of the chicken thighs. So I wanted to make sure that there was absolutely nothing on that rim so that my lid could create a really good seal. These jars went into my pressure canner with a splash of vinegar, and because they are meat, they canned for 90 minutes. These are quart jars. If you made this recipe in pint jars, you would only have to can them for 75 minutes. And yes, this is in a pressure canner. Next up on my list is Zuppa Toscana. You know, that soup that everybody goes crazy for at Olive Garden. It has a creamy broth, Italian sausage, kale, and potatoes. It's like a hug in a bowl. Now, I don't can it with the cream because dairy doesn't hold up well under pressure canning. But I'll tell you what, when I open a jar and add in a splash of cream right before serving, you would never know the difference. I'm really curious, guys. So what is your favorite restaurant meal that you have figured out how to make at home? Leave it in the comments for me because I am always looking for new ideas. We don't eat out very often, and so I really love to recreate those meals at home. This was one of those days when I just woke up in the absolute best mood. It was gorgeous outside, like low to mid 60s this morning. I had the windows open. I could hear the birds chirping and the rooster crowing, and it was just a perfect morning. So I got to work getting all these veggies ready for the soup. I was blaring music through my Alexa, and I was just having myself a good time this morning. Please ignore my crazy dancing, and if you can't ignore it, then you can just go ahead and blame my mom. She taught us to do the mashed potato while we cleaned the house, and I just never had any dance moves, apparently. I told you that we don't go out to eat very often, but whenever we do, we occasionally go to Olive Garden, and my very favorite thing to order there is the unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks. And I always, always, always start out with Zuppa Toscana soup. I love it. It's followed by a close second by their chicken gnocchi, but Zuppa Toscana is my favorite, and it's so easy to make at home. It's kind of funny, actually, to tell you how much I love it. When I started YouTube a year and a half ago, Zuppa Toscana is the very first video that I made, and I showed you guys how to make it. Going back to that video now is a little bit humorous. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing on making a video or filming or talking to a camera. But I have come a long ways in the last year and a half. I think I still have a long ways to go, but I am so thankful for this journey and where it has taken me and the relationship that I have built with so many of you guys in this community that we are growing. I am having an absolute blast, and I hope that you're enjoying being here as much as I am. I got off on a little side trail there, but if you have never had Zuppa Toscana from Olive Garden, you should definitely try making it home. It is just a really flavorful soup that's loaded with potatoes and Italian sausage and kale, or in my case, I actually had a mixture of kale and broccoli leaves that I freeze dried, so I used both of those. And then once you are heating it up, you're going to add in a splash of cream or half and half, something to just make it really creamy and lighter colored, and it is just so delicious. You guys have seen me use that chopper over and over and over, especially in this video. I don't think that I will ever chop an onion with a knife again because they make my eyes water so bad. But when I do it with this Kitsch Genie chopper, all I have to do is cut off both ends and quarter my onion and a pound or two with my fist, and I have a perfectly fine diced onion with very minimal to no eye watering. It is the best thing ever. I do have a discount code and a referral link. I will make sure to leave that in the description below for you. But if you need something to make chopping easier, I definitely recommend this product. I have been using it for a couple months now, and I haven't come across anything that it doesn't chop perfectly except peaches. They're a little bit too soft for the Kitsch Genie, but everything else has chopped perfectly, and it has the very best mandolin on it as well. One thing I really love about canning soups is the ease of them. You can raw pack pretty much all soup, so you don't have to cook your ingredients ahead of time. You don't have to get everything hot. You just take your ingredients, throw them in your jars. You don't even need to top it off with boiling water or boiling broth. You can just use room temperature. The key, though, to doing that is that the temperature of your jars needs to match the temperature of the water in your canner so that you don't have any temperature shock going on. So if you are doing what I'm doing and just using like a room temperature to cool water, then you make sure that the water in your pressure canner is also room temperature to cool. One of these jars of the Zuppa Toscana soup did not seal after I took it out of the canner. I'm not really sure why, but honestly, it was kind of nice because my daughter plays volleyball and she had her very first game tonight, the night that I'm recording this voiceover. And so we got home late at like 7:30, and I didn't even have to think about what was for dinner tonight. It was that jar of Zuppa Toscana that didn't seal. I just put it in the fridge, and you could reprocess it later if you wanted to, but I wasn't going to worry about it. I had dinner made for the night and ready to go, so I heated that jar up, threw a splash of heavy cream in there, and it was so good. One reason I really love having meals in jars, especially a soup like this, is because I am somebody who giving a meal to or cooking to is like my love language. That's how I express my love to you. So if I know you personally and I have ever given you something homemade or home baked or sourdough or a meal in a jar, know that I love you. That is how I show my love. And I have neighbor friends who lost their mother-in-law to breast cancer this last week, and I was able to bring one of these jars and a loaf of sourdough bread to their home just to give them the night off. And I know that they appreciated it so much. And so I absolutely love having just extra jars on my pantry. So if the need arises, especially on a night when I don't have maybe time to throw something together for somebody else, I always have a jar available and I can take dinner to somebody at a moment's notice. I think that we are called to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and this is one way that I'm able to do that. Just like the bourbon chicken, this soup has meat in it, this time Italian sausage. And so quart jars need to pressure can for 90 minutes in order to be safe, 75 minutes for a pint. And so that is what I did with these. They came out absolutely beautiful. If you are a canner, obviously you want your food to taste good. Like that's a given, but it's always an extra bonus when your food is also pretty, especially if you have open shelving where you can look at it like I do. This recipe did make 14 jars, so if you don't want that many, you're going to want to half it. But like I said, I love to have extra jars on hand, so I love that it made so many. My canner holds 7 jars, so I ran 2 full canners. Next, I'm throwing together a quick beef stroganoff. This is one of those meals where my whole family gets quiet at the table, which let me tell you is a miracle in a house with 4 kids. It's not very often that everybody loves something that I made all at the same time. This recipe has tender beef, mushrooms, onions, and it's all in a savory gravy. I don't can the noodles, but again, that's just a quick boil away. It doesn't take long to just dump a bag into some boiling water and then you have a meal ready to go. And it looks like I've been cooking all afternoon when I spent less than 15 minutes in my kitchen. This one really feels like magic in a jar and is the perfect comfort food, especially on a fall or winter night. I started working and did not follow this recipe very well. The recipe actually is written that you chop all of your meat and your mushrooms and your onions, and then you mix up the sauce and you mix it all together, and then you pack your jars. And if you are making this, that is how I recommend that you do it, because it was a kind of difficult for me to get the sauce into these jars once I had them packed. I also think that I used a lot more mushrooms than the recipe. I think that I could have easily made this into 5 or even 6 quarts instead of into the 4 that I have. And I wish that is how I would have done it. So again, if you're going to make this recipe, mix all your ingredients together first and maybe do 6 quarts instead of 4 because these jars were full after I got everything in there. So you load up your chuck roast, you add in your sliced mushrooms and your diced onions, and then you mix together this really yummy sauce to put on top. It is a combination of garlic, tomato paste, salt, pepper, parsley, thyme, Worcestershire sauce, or however it is you say that. I hate saying that on social media because everybody makes fun of how you say it. And then beef broth or water to finish filling your jars. And you're going to see here in a minute, I really struggled with getting that sauce in these jars. It's really thick. And so I had a hard time getting it down into my jar. I did just end up putting it on top and then getting it worked in as well as I could, and then topping each jar off with water. And it worked. Like the end result was great, but it was just a challenge to get this done and it was frustrating. And so again, don't do this the way that I did it. Do it as it is written. I will make sure to leave all of the links for these recipes in the description box below, so don't feel like you have to feverishly write down what I'm doing and write down all of the ingredients. It's going to be in the description box, so you can just very easily click on those links, get the recipes, print them off, or screenshot them, and make them for yourselves. You really have a lot of flexibility when canning meals in a jar like this because when you are pressure canning, you can for the length of time of the item that takes the longest. And for all of these recipes, we are including meat. And so we're going to be canning with meat times. And meat times are longer than anything else. So that means you can add whatever you want to your jar of stew. If there's a vegetable that you really love to have in there that I didn't include, you can be flexible and make this recipe your own and add whatever veggies or seasonings that you like and make this recipe something that your family will enjoy. You don't have to follow the exact same recipe as I do. You just have to still can it as long as it has meat in it for a minimum of 75 minutes for pints or 90 minutes if you choose to do quarts. And while we have out that beef chuck roast, we're going to go ahead and throw together some beef stew. Honestly, I think this might be like the original Homesteaders fast food. It has big chunks of beef, carrots, potatoes, and celery, all the goodness sealed in a jar. There is nothing better than opening this on a cold night when you don't want to cook. It smells like you've had something simmering on the stove all day, but really all you had to do was pop off a lid and heat it up. I am so excited for fall because it is soup season. My husband only likes to eat soup like when it's chilly outside, but personally, I can eat soup, stew, and chili all year long. I think the veggies that I chose are the pretty classic beef stew. I went with carrots, onions, celery, and potatoes. And I can't wait to crack open a jar of this stew on a busy night and have dinner ready to go. I really like to serve this with some type of bread. That's what we eat as a side for a lot of our meals because I love doing sourdough. My husband really just loves bread of all kind. And it's usually something that I can make ahead of time and it's easy for me to throw together. So any type of sourdough bread, any type of biscuit, any type of cornbread, anything like that is a great addition to this stew. But also, if you don't want to make something to go with it, it's a full-on standalone meal. It has protein, veggies, fat, and carbs, and you don't have to add anything to it if you're not in the mood. While I'm working on this stew, I have been thinking about how the garden is starting to wind down. It's always a funny mix of emotions for me. On one hand, I'm a little bit relieved. It's kind of nice to have a break, less weeding, less watering, fewer bugs to battle. But on the other hand, I already know that I'm going to miss walking out and grabbing fresh peppers and tomatoes and herbs for dinner. This time of year, I'm usually out pulling some plants, tucking in the fall seedlings, and already dreaming about what I'll do differently next season. It's like the garden gives us a little break, but the ideas for next year start rolling immediately. Do you guys feel the same way? Are you happy with that slower pace at the end of the summer, or do you miss the hustle and busyness of summer gardening as soon as it's over? Let me know in the comments because I always kind of wonder if I'm the only one who's torn about the changing of seasons. Like, on one hand, I'm so thankful for the cooler temperatures, and I do enjoy the break that I get, but I also am always so looking forward to January when I start seeds and what I'm going to do differently in my garden next year and what new varieties I can plant and how I'm going to be so much more organized. I always think that. The next meal in a jar we're going to tackle is ham and beans, and it is about as simple and hearty as it gets. Just a jar full of comfort that will fill your belly and warm you right up. I love to pull this one off of the shelf and bake up a quick batch of cornbread muffins because honestly, is there a better combo? On a cold evening, I'll grab my fuzzy socks, curl up with a bowl of ham and beans, a little butter on the cornbread, and it feels like pure coziness in a meal. Okay, let's talk beans for a minute, because if you've ever canned them, you know there's always that question, do you soak first or not? And I'm going to tell you what I do. So the National Center of Home Preservation and USDA guidelines both say that you have to soak first, but they also say that after you soak, you need to boil for 30 minutes. And then there are some people who just can dried beans out of the bag, not soaked. I have done both ways. Both ways work well. My dried beans canned up perfectly, but are they safe? I don't know. They're not tested that way, so we actually have no way of knowing if they're 100% safe or not. My family ate them. We didn't get sick. This is how my mom cans her beans, so I'll let you do your own research and make your own decision on that one. Personally, I do soak my beans. These beans soaked for like 18 to 24 hours, but I do not do the boil because I am doing the raw pack method. Now, the ham and bean soup is what I'm starting next, and it's kind of like a cousin to the ham and beans, but a little lighter and a little more colorful. It's got those same ham and tender beans, but also carrots, celery, and plenty of broth. It's not quite as heavy, but still every bit as satisfying. It's the one I reach for when I want something comforting, but not quite as stick to your ribs as the traditional ham and beans. While I was canning these, I had plenty of time to think because, you know, canning is a whole process. You have to chop this and saute that and then wait for the canner to come up to pressure and then wait for it to release. It gives you a lot of time to sit in your own thoughts, especially when you're doing it while the house is quiet. And I was thinking, this really is my kind of self-care. Some people go get their nails done or hit the spa. Me, I fill jars with meals that are going to take care of me later. It's like I'm gifting my future self a night off. Do you ever think about that? Like, thanks, past me, for doing all of that work so present me doesn't have to. So that's 6 different meals on the pantry shelf ready to go. Bourbon chicken, Zuppa Toscana, beef stroganoff, beef stew, ham and beans, and ham and bean soup. That is definitely what I call Homesteaders fast food. And let me tell you, it is way better than anything you're going to get from the drive-thru. Before you click away, let me know in the comments, which of these meals would your family love most? And what's the number one meal you wish you could grab off of your shelf on a busy night? Thank you guys for spending all of this time with me today. I hope you feel inspired to stock your own shelves with a little homemade fast food. Until next time, happy canning. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, may God bless.